Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today for Spirituality Talk. My name is Dark Moon Doll, and today I want to share with you an experience I had that I consider to be paranormal in nature. I'll just start right now. When I was living, it was downtown Sacramento, or midtown Sacramento, California. I was living in a house, renting a house with me, my husband, and my son was a baby at the time. So this was like, wow, kind of a ways back. Like, I'd say like 13 years or 14 years ago. So, but I still have that memory fresh in my mind, nonetheless. One night, my husband, me, and my son were laying in bed sleeping. And I was awoken by a really high frequency pitch sound, like it was like ee kind of sound. And surprisingly, my husband didn't wake up by that sound. It was funny. And my son did. He was a baby at the time. My son woke up and he was just he started like making the same pitch frequency sound as that sound. And as that sound was coming into the room, there was a bright light that it shone into the bedroom in just one spot, right where our closet was. This bright white light was like shining on it, and but it was still that high frequency pitch sound. I looked outside my window to see if maybe it was a car and it was their headlights or something beaming into our bedroom, but there wasn't any lights outside. It was totally dark. So there was no explanation or rational explanation for why that would be happening. And I just sat there just feeling really confused. I was holding my baby and he was like making that same pitch frequency. And it was very eerie. I don't think I was extremely scared. I was more confused because I didn't know what it was. And that just really shook me to the core. I didn't know what that was about. Later on, I started to do more reading and literature about literature where I felt like this may have been what I was hearing. I started to think maybe it was maybe angelic presence, because I read a long time ago that a lot of times when angels try to communicate with you, it's on a higher vibration and a higher frequency, so it's hard for them to communicate in a way that you can understand, like through English, like our English language. So I wasn't really into angels and demons and all that kind of stuff because I didn't really get into the Christian Bible. Like I've told you in another previous video, I had experience with Sunday school, and it was a very, I don't know, it just left me feeling like they don't really know what's going on within this literature, this book that they're presenting to us, because they can't even answer simple questions. So anyway, just long story short, I never really got into the whole angels and demons and all that kind of stuff in biblical scriptures, what have you. But as the years went by, I started having these kind of experiences. Let me rewind, go forward a little bit from the experience that I had with me and my son, even before I was pregnant, and let's see, right before I was on my way getting home on the airplane from, I had been discharged from basic training on a general discharge. And if you want to know more about that experience, it's on the video where I share my Army experience. You can look it up on the videos in here under Spirituality Talk. But anyway, I was on the airplane getting ready to come home because I had a general discharge. And I had a lot of drugs in my system. Like, if you watch more about that video, it talks about how I tried to commit suicide. I had swallowed a whole bottle of pain pills and almost died. But in that experience, this is what happened when I was on the plane ride home. I was thinking about all these reasons why I can't go back home, because I don't have anybody there to help me out. My sister pretty much has her family. My mom's homeless on the streets, bag lady, and my dad was in a totally different state. He never really was around anyway. A very abusive person. So all of those things were going on through my mind as I'm on the plane, and I'm crying, and I'm thinking, well, why am I still alive? I don't have anything to go back to. I don't have a purpose here on earth to serve, because I don't really have I have nothing really. That's how I felt. And so as I was feeling that way, just thinking all these thoughts and remembering all these things, the negative things that people have told me in the past, I just started crying. Tears started like streaming down my face, and I was really emotional. And I was just letting everything out. And next thing I knew, in my ear, my right ear, I could hear that eeet sound. But then it turned into like very melodic, like singing. And not in anything that I could recognize English language. It was just really beautiful. And I was like feeling like I was releasing more and more stuff coming out of me. And I just was like, whoa, that's intense. And when I came back from, got off the plane and was trying to assimilate myself back into civilian life, I never did go to a doctor to cleanse out all that medicine. I would have thought that I'd need my stomach pumped and all that. If you go to that video, I'll tell you even more in detail what happened when I took those pills. It was a very spiritual awakening, and also like very nightmarish in some ways as well. So yeah, those two experiences with that frequency, that sound, really got my mind wondering what it was all about. And I started trying to trace back in all the experiences I've had thus far. And I thought about how, like, when I was, how old was I? It was like, I think about, I must have been like 22, 23 probably, because it was just sent back home from basic training. 23 years old, and I was just like, I decided to go to this thing called Psychic Berkeley Institute. It was located downtown. And I had went there before, a long time ago, before I entered into the military. And I decided to go there again because I remember this woman. Okay, this is another story. Before I went to the military, right before I entered in, me and my sister went to this place called Her Place. It's a metaphysical store. And I was talking to this woman that worked there about my dream I had, where someone asked me if I was a Pisces. And I was born on the cusp, July 23rd, a Leo. So most people see me as a Pisces. So while I was talking to the woman that works there, another woman comes up and she hands me this book. I'll show you this book. It's called Palladian Agenda, a new cosmology for the Age of Light, by Barbara Hand Clow. And she came to me and she gave me this book that I just showed you. And she said to me, I heard your conversation, and I think you might be interested in this book. So she gave me the book, and I looked down at the book, and then I looked up and looked around for her, and I couldn't find her anywhere. So, I mean, that was very bizarre, and I thought, oh, okay. So I was like kind of skimming through the book, and none of it made sense just skimming through it. So I decided to purchase it, and I brought it home. And I read it a little bit, but I think my mindset wasn't ready for that yet, for this material. So when I came back, this book, when I came back, I had all my possessions at my sister's house in her garage. This book was nowhere to be found in there. So anyway, later down the line, obviously I bought it. And yeah, there's a lot in here that explains a lot to me. It's hard for me to even explain it to you. I mean, you just have to pick it up yourself. And it kind of opened my mind up to other thoughts of whether or not we only incarnate on this planet, whether we as souls have different lifetimes on different planets. I've always felt like we're not the only people in this universe. That planet Earth is not the only planet that has inhabitants, people living on there, and going through some similar struggles that we're going through too, in trying to evolve and trying to figure out who we are. So I read through this book, and I got it again later on in life, which was I'd have to say probably about 5 years ago. I found it again and bought it, and I took my time out and read it, and I found like a lot of, well, it didn't answer everything as far as I want it to, but it made sense to me. A lot of the stuff that's discussed in there, how can I say this? It almost like opened up my mind to things I already knew, like that was already there, and it was kind of like a remembering of things that already within my mind. I know this is hard for me to explain to you, but you know, pick up the book and you'll find out what I'm talking about. It's just I really felt connected, and when you go upon your journey and you're on your path and you're trying to find, you know, someone to help you out, something to assist you, you know, books can be very helpful a lot of the times, and this was when I finally started reading it, it's very helpful. It helped me to like kind of open my mind up and think about what these things, these experiences, paranormal experiences that I have. I mean, these two that I shared with you aren't the only ones I've ever had in my whole life. I've had paranormal experiences ever since I was a kid, you know, a little kid. 5 years old is my first memories of it. So it's not like my first time.